Yeah, there's definitely a sense of urgency. I mean, you can't go through something like this as a small nonprofit and not be impacted, for sure. We're experiencing unprecedented times that are having adverse impacts on so many. Organizations across the country are struggling, and unfortunately, we are not immune. But this adversity is also an opportunity, finding creative ways to continue delivering on our mission, building community, creating new program opportunities, and ultimately ensuring everyone has access. These are the things we were focused on before, and they've just been reinforced. We now have even more clarity on our value and our mission. I mean, yes, there's still adversity, but some of our community members face adversity daily, primarily in the form of people's misperception of what's possible. If you've been on a Paradox Sports program, you know that sense of adversity really has no place. Rather, there's a great sense of irreverence, people focused on what they have versus what they don't have. You experience an amazing camaraderie and support from the community. There's a sense of joy and excitement, self-reliance, and people are having fun. People show up and kick ass, truly defying convention.
When I hear the word community, what comes to mind is unconditional support.
I think of people that I want to spend time with.
People who don't look for the negatives but look for the positives.
Camaraderie, the support system.
Probably just think of support.
Yeah, I mean, this might be pretty simple, but when I think of community, I just think of the people.
The first word that comes to mind is love. And there is so much love in this gorge right now.
The word that first comes to my mind when I think of community is trust and support. It may not be full trust, but you've got enough trust to venture into areas that are a little scary.
The moment I started climbing, my world just changed. Starting the climb, looking up, in my head I'm already going, I can't do this. There's no way I'll be able to get to the top. And so, the moment you start swinging the axe in, and the moment you start trying to start climbing up, little by little, you're like, okay, I can do this, I can do this.
Ice climbing's always been a sport where, especially when you're leading ice, the only thing you think about is leading ice.
Climbing is climbing, and I think what's so cool about it is, regardless of who you are, you have to find your way up.
It's definitely like this mental game of pushing yourself further than you believe you can, and then realizing that you can surpass those limits that you've set upon yourself.
To that end, if you have a limb difference, if you're visually impaired, auditory impaired, a part of the inherent within the climbing process is figuring out your own way.
You guys, Bill just built his first trad anchor.
Woo! Nice.
How I feel.
Through day-to-day life, I feel like I don't use my body as a whole cohesively, but when I'm climbing, I feel so fluid and just like I'm using every part of my body really well. I really feel so just like strong and fluid on the wall. Not so much ice climbing, but in the gym, that's how I feel.
Climbing in itself is an adaptive sport. Everyone's wearing a harness. Everyone's tied into the rope. We're using all this different stuff. And so to change the style in the harness that you use, or maybe set up a haul system, it's not really that different.
A lot of times the beta is just like, you've got this, like you can do it. And that is like usually the best form of beta.
The number of people who were standing below me, cheering me on, really gave me the enthusiasm to keep going and not to give up.
With a little bit of support, people can really work through things that are difficult.
It sort of forces you to work on those parts of yourself that you're not already good at.
It's training your body and your mind to, like, when something gets hard, be like, all right, focus down on the tiny little, what's the next step that I need to take, and how can I stay in balance? And then where do I move from there? So you go through this balance to imbalance and discomfort back to balance. And when you can learn that through the ice climbing, you can also kind of figure it out in the rest of your life.
What I learn here and the confidence I get here, I definitely bring back home. It just gives me a little bit more confidence to do other things, to try different things that I thought after my injury there'd be no way that I'd be able to do. And even the times that I'm terrified, I still remember coming here and just being so terrified every time I climb up the mountain and know, okay, I just need to give this a chance and push through. And if I can't do it, that's fine, but I want to try it. And it's changed my life in a really positive way.
If you spend any amount of time climbing, you find that the climbing part almost becomes the least important part. It's who you're spending your time with while you're doing that climbing. It's who you're spending your time with after that really comes into, the importance of that really comes into perspective.
How are they in Perth access?
The saying as it goes, necessity is the mother of invention, and this is very much one of those kinds of communities where stuff has been put together, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to do it, but it takes the desire and the want to be able to do it.
When you seek to enable access, you have to be open-minded, you have to be creative. When that is your mission, it's gonna attract people who want to do that too. So in a sense, Paradox sort of self-selects in terms of who shows up, who joins, who sticks around.
Paradox Sports has been so influential in the development of an adaptive climbing community.
I think the thing that I'm super inspired by through Paradox is just really shifting the paradigm of what people with adaptive needs think are possible, but also how the rest of us view the adaptive sports world.
When you're on a Paradox trip, your disability isn't the focus.
There's just so much acceptance here, and just understanding that, what might be hard for me isn't necessarily hard for you, but then you might have a different challenge that you're struggling with. Being able to just start there on the fact that we're all people creates a huge community. And so that's, I think, the basis of where Paradox differs from other nonprofits and organizations.
Everyone is just so supportive and loving and just wants you to do your best and will push you harder than you think you can ever climb.
I've never experienced a place where there's so much care and concern for everybody around.
It's all about the love. It's all about breaking down barriers and preconceived notions about what people are supposed to do, what people with disabilities are supposed to do.